Hello everyone. So this is just going to be a quick video giving you a few ideas to keep in mind about integrating sources effectively into your own writing. Obviously, you'll see that it's noted in a lot of sources that we'll read for the course that one of the most difficult tasks of really research writing and any type of writing that's in an academic context where you're going to be engaging in a conversation that's already going on is seamlessly being able to integrate your own ideas within the context and discussion of what's already surrounding the topic, right? The dialogue that already exists on the topic of your choice or of interest, hopefully both. In order to create, though, a rhetorically effective essay, it is really important to be able to work out a way of combining your researched ideas with your ideas, which, of course, for any project we do in here where you're going to be engaging with sources, this really does matter, okay? When faced with, of course, academic writing, you will be required to quote. So when you're required to quote in our assignment, I wanted to make sure that you keep in mind there is such a thing as quoting too much, right? So you shouldn't have quotes that fall more than 3 lines on the page. So again, you shouldn't have quotes that fall more than 3 lines on the page. You want to make sure as well that the quotes that you use are chosen really strategically. What I mean by that is I don't want to feel like they maybe were just kind of thrown into the assignment to meet a quote quota. One of the first things I'll do when I grade is check the quoted material up against the thesis statement before I look at even topic sentences and the rest of the paragraphs to see, does that quoted material really flesh out and further prove the idea that was in the thesis statement? And of course, if the answer is no, then that's incredibly problematic, right? So you want to make sure that not only are you not quoting too much, right, making sure you don't have quotes that just drag on throughout the page, but also that you're quoting in a way that's really strategic. Something else to keep in mind would be that you will in this course be asked to, as you'll see in some of the readings, paraphrase. And of course, paraphrasing is a really good alternative to direct quoting because it allows you to kind of restate ideas of the original source into your own language and give it kind of your own flair to build your credibility and your ethos to show, hey, I can put these in my own words, right? You do want to make sure, though, that you really put that language into your own words, meaning if you're paraphrasing, don't only rewrite, say, 3 words of the sentence if there are 20 words. You have to rewrite the entire thing. That does mean every word. That's where synonyms and things of that nature definitely come in handy. You also, I wanted to note really quickly, want to make sure that you are always quoting effectively, right? So thinking about explaining after you quote why you used that quote. Now, of course, you don't want to use direct and literal language like this quote is effective within the context of the paper because it shows blank. But you do want to state something instead, like clearly, right? As illustrated in the previous point, blank, blank, blank. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. You want to make sure that there's reason and purpose to, like I was saying before, as to why you're using the sources that you use. So I want to make sure I encourage you to ask yourself a question, right, when you find your sources and you start to use your quotes. For any major assignment in here would be to think about, do those quotes actually build, right, into what it is I'm trying to achieve with my thesis statement? And if not, right, if they're irrelevant, say they're summary when that's not necessarily what you should be including, you kind of need to, put yourself in check and delete. Okay. Make sure that you introduce all the quotes that you use, so do not drop quotes in. It is important to guide your readers through quotes in a way that is understood. You want to signal to your readers what direction you're going in with the quotes you're using, right? So you don't want the audience to feel kind of like, oh, this quote just kind of hit me in the face, right? I don't really have a sense of direction as to what this quote really means to the purpose of the paper and what it's supposed to mean to me as the audience. That can be really confusing. Transitions when you introduce quotes, I always say, are kind of like turn signals when you're driving. So if you think about it holistically in that sense, they signal to your audience, right? Here's why I'm using that quote. If it's to synthesize, which is just a fancy way of saying compare, contrast, then you can signal that when you switch from one source to another, right? So stating something like contrastingly, source B, and of course you wouldn't say source B, that's just a loose, vague example, right? But those types of signal phrases, as well as, I guess you'd call them quote sandwiches, definitely help prepare the audience to better understand your cohesive point, right? What is the cohesive point or 3 points of your essay, rather? So that's kind of all I wanted to talk about within this this video. As always, though, if you've got questions, feel free to reach out to me and ask.